called for a criminal investigation on Donald Trump. He gave one of the most amazing speeches that I've ever heard in UN history. In only 10 sentences, which I will share for you, he makes a case how President Trump is leading the world into barbary and also extinction. Not just the United States, but everyone. He made comments that the media would rarely allow us to hear, and I think people are not hearing about this speech because it was given in Spanish, and the media prefers to play up silly things like Trump and a broken escalator and teleprompter. President Trump and the white Christian nationalists like to talk about preserving Western civilization, but in just a few sentences, Petro outlined how Trump is bringing barbarism back to the world. What Trump is doing is affecting all humanity, ignoring international law, using missiles to kill 17 unarmed young men in the Caribbean waters, maybe some of them Colombians, dehumanizing our migrant workers, putting these men and women in chains, imprisoning them, sometimes sending them to foreign countries. And he mentioned the missiles in Gaza, which has killed over 70,000 people. And then President Trump calling the climate crisis a hoax and erasing all of the progress that the rest of the world has been trying to make in order to save civilization. Petro went on to say it all links to one reason. He said that migration and all of these things that we see in the news every day is just an excuse for a rich society of white people who see themselves as a superior race to all others and think they can do whatever they want because the other lives have no value. He said that President Trump doesn't care about us or any of the other world's people and is dragging us into an abyss of extinction. In conclusion, the message is clear. If we as American people and the rest of the world's people don't unite to stop elite privilege, militarism, climate change, unchecked violence, we will continue on a path not of survival, but of extinction.
Shalom, shalom, Israel. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, glory, and praises unto Yahawah, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi, Ba'ashem, Wakwakwadosh. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and shalom to the mighty Akim, Wakwathim, who are diligently waiting to be delivered from this final captivity. This is Brother Kawakab coming at you with another lesson. Shalom to the speckled bird that may look like the other nations, but are actually Yasharallah. Today's lesson, I want to go into this whole thing about this whole a wicked leader, all right, basically. And the thing about this is that people, as an example of this, because this guy, he said a lot, and the thing about people following a certain leader or following someone is that, you know, say for the lead, an improper leader is lucky. An improper leader oftentimes abuses their power, and the actual people, the followers or whatever, suffer as a result of it. So that's why it's so important. And as a matter of fact, that reminds me of another one. Hold on, give me a second. It's thou shalt not. The fuck? That's definitely not it, but or maybe it is it. Deuteronomy chapter 17 verse 14, when thou art it is 15, Slakia. Verse 15, thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy power shall choose, one from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. Basically, you're not allowed to set a non-Israelite, more specifically, as that's what it is. Because obviously, you have the distinction of whom are the brothers of us in this truth, and is basically the followers of YAHAWAH and His. That's whom the Lord considers as family. All right. So as a result of that, Slakia, basically the thing here is you're not allowed to have a non-Israelite or a heathen, more specifically, rule over us, but yet we do have it because we are in captivity right now. So as a result of that, the heathen that's ruling over us, Slakia, is people are able to point out, like, this guy is a demon, he's a devil, he's a terrible leader, not simply because, but in many different complex ways, where not only our people are suffering, but even his people are also suffering. And they've constantly brought that up. They've constantly pointed out, like, look at all the things that's happening. Even with actually did a lesson, I think yesterday or maybe the day before that, where I brought out how they have been trying to mess up with the food sources, is with the SNAP, EBT, food banks, and all that stuff, where it is to make them reliant and make them all that stuff of people needing and having all these different things. It's shutting down. It's not helping anymore. So it's like they're not going to be able to rely on that anymore. And then the whole destruction of this society is slowly coming. It's going to implode on itself because of what the leaders are doing. Okay, because they don't care about let's preserve our people, or we're watching out for people, we're in charge of all these people. No, the only thing is, how do we forward ourselves? How do we make things better for us? And then I don't care about the repercussions, because even then, I believe there's something called a land Sabbath, where there's supposed to be there's a time for harvest, and then there's a time for rest for the land, where you're not supposed to be just trying to harvest food all year round. But that's the thing, where they have these greenhouses and stuff like that. You're supposed to give the land time to actually rest. You can't just keep on forcing it to give you food and all that stuff. You're supposed to that's just the spirit of how the Lord made not just us, for us to have times of rest, which even then our people don't have that. Okay, let me actually get that right quick over here in Baruch chapter 3 verse 8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou art scattered. There thou hast scattered us for reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our power. Basically, we are subject to payments, where we constantly have to work like hell. And a lot of people say they work literally every day. They don't have time for free time. They don't have time for hobbies or whatever. They have to say, okay, well, I have a job, and then I have a side hustle, and I have this, I have that, and all this stuff, where people's lives are only just working. And then even then, with all those hours, they barely get any sleep, and then there's nothing. They're not living for anything else. They're just living. And people have been making TikTok videos and whatnot, talking and complaining about stuff like this, where they say that something has got to change, but we all know that nothing is going to change. Society is going to keep on being in the same way as long as Esau is. As a matter of fact, it's getting worse. All right, it's only getting worse. Continuing on, Sirach chapter 10 verse 2. As a judge of the people is himself, so are his officers, and what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. Where people are taking up after their their leader, and they think that, oh yeah, you have to do this, you have to do that. And a lot of people, ironically, all right, there are still people that think, yeah, you should not be wasting your time on hobbies. You should only, if you have time to be playing games, you have time to be working on a side hustle or something like that, where people expect you to not be able to watch TV, not be able to play video games, not be able to do whatever. When even the Lord doesn't even do that. The Lord doesn't even expect you to 24/7. The Lord, as a matter of fact, I think like that's the thing. The Lord even wants us to not burn out on this truth, because that's a thing, Slakia. That's a thing where rather than, I'm trying to remember the precept, but it's a matter of I'm trying to freaking remember, but it's a matter of what the fuck is it? I think I'm gonna go with this over. Bear with me one moment. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 16, be not righteous over much, neither make thyself overwise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself? That's basically the thing where you're accumulating so much wisdom and knowledge and stuff like that, where it's like, okay, that's cool and all, sure, but like you have to understand, like you need to take some time to like, and that's the thing, Saki, that's the spirit of the thing, where the Lord, he made a Sabbath not for himself, but he made it for man to like, okay, take a second, just rest, relax and stuff like that. The Sabbath is for as a matter of fact, let me get that as a matter of fact. Man for this. Mark 2:27. And he said unto them, the Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath. So the Sabbath is specifically made for us to be able to say, okay, you know what? This is our resting period. Of course, we might not always be able to keep the Sabbath now in this kingdom, but the original intentions was for us to be able to say, okay, you know what? Now is a time to rest. I'm not gonna. You can do all you want all the other 6 days, but when the Sabbath comes, you need to take a step back and just stop and whatnot with all the things. All right. So Sirach chapter 4 verse 27, make not thyself an underling to a foolish man, neither accept the person of the mighty. And that's the thing where you don't want to follow after someone that's willing to destroy you. All right, and these people are destroying us. Going back to Sirach chapter 10 verse 3, an unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. So an unwise king is destroying his people, and that's literally what's happening right now. All right, these people are going crazy because of the foods. They were going crazy because of the food stamps, and then it got restored, apparently. But making those people work still with no pay and stuff like that. That was kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie. All right. Now, finally, Proverbs chapter 29, verse 2, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And that's just the end all be all, where we are seeing the destruction of the people and the people hating that. So with that, I pray this lesson was edifying. I want to give all honor, glory, and praise unto YAHAWAH, SHAMAIWAN, YAHAWASHI, that will honor the elders and apostles, great millstone of blood, bone, shalom.